History moves in cycles, repeating patterns that echo across generations. If you look closely, you'll notice that the past doesn't simply fade away. It shapes the present and hints at the future. The events we live through are not isolated, but part of a larger rhythm that has played out for centuries. Progress isn't a straight line. Instead, it twists and turns, sometimes looping back on itself, much like a winding road or a spiral staircase. Each era builds on what came before, but also reacts against it, creating a dynamic interplay between continuity and change. The fourth turning theory, developed by historians William Strauss and Neil Howe, suggests that Anglo-American history repeats in cycles of about 80 to 100 years, a period they call a saeculum. Each saeculum is divided into 4 distinct phases, or turnings, each with its own mood, challenges, and opportunities. These turnings are like the seasons of history, each following the other in a predictable order. These phases don't just affect governments or leaders, they shape the very fabric of society. Our collective mood, the culture we create, and the direction we move as a people are all influenced by which turning we're living through. From the way we raise our children to the values we hold dear, everything is touched by these cycles. The first turning, known as the high, is a time of strong institutions and social cohesion. It usually follows a major crisis, when people come together to rebuild and create a sense of unity. Think of post-World War II America, families moving to the suburbs, a booming economy, and a widespread belief in progress and stability. But unity doesn't last forever. The second turning, or the awakening, arrives when a new generation begins to question the established order. This is a period of spiritual unrest and cultural revolution. The 1960s are a perfect example. Youth challenging authority, fighting for civil rights, and seeking personal fulfillment over conformity. As the energy of the awakening fades, society enters the third turning, the unraveling. Here, individualism rises, and trust in institutions declines. People become more focused on personal goals, and the sense of collective purpose weakens. Institutions that once seemed unshakable begin to erode, and the bonds that held society together start to fray. Finally, we reach the fourth turning, the crisis. This is the era we find ourselves in today. It's a time of upheaval, when old systems break down and society faces existential challenges. The stakes are high, and the choices we make now will shape the world for decades to come. During the crisis, the old order collapses. Institutions are put on trial, leaders are questioned, and the very foundations of society are shaken. It's a period of uncertainty, but also of possibility, when the future is up for grabs and new ideas can take root. Yet the crisis is not just about destruction. It's also a time of renewal. As outdated structures are cleared away, there's space for new growth. People come together to solve problems, rebuild communities, and imagine a better future. The end of one cycle is the beginning of another. The fourth turning isn't simply doom and gloom. Like winter before spring, it's a necessary process, a time of hardship that prepares the ground for renewal. Out of the coldest, darkest moments, new life eventually emerges. The polarization, division, and instability we see today are all symptoms of this climactic phase. It can feel overwhelming, but it's also a sign that deep transformation is underway. The conflicts and crises of our time are part of a larger story, one that has played out many times before. By recognizing these patterns, we can better navigate the chaos. Understanding the fourth turning helps us see our place in history and empowers us to play an active role in shaping what comes next. We are not just passive observers, we are participants in the unfolding story. The cycle continues, as it always has. With every ending comes a new beginning, and with every winter, the promise of spring. In the midst of uncertainty, there is always hope for renewal and the chance to build a brighter future together. To understand today's crisis, we must look back at the unraveling. From the mid-1980s to the 2000s, trust in institutions collapsed, replaced by rampant individualism and cynicism. Me replaced we, as social bonds frayed and inequality soared. Political scandals, financial speculation, and media fragmentation deepened the sense of decay. The unraveling wasn't a sudden collapse, but a slow erosion of civic life and trust. Events like 9/11 and the 2008 financial crisis shattered complacency, exposing our vulnerabilities. By the time the crisis began, society was brittle, divided, and deeply skeptical. We entered the fourth turning already weakened, making the turmoil even more severe. The fourth turning puts society's core institutions on trial. In this era, the very foundations that once held communities together, our courts, our governments, our financial systems, are being questioned like never before. The sense of stability that these institutions provided is now replaced by a growing sense of skepticism and doubt. Finance, government, law, and media, once trusted, are now seen as self-serving and corrupt. The public watches as the lines between public service and personal gain blur, and the guardians of truth and justice appear compromised. The very people and organizations meant to protect the public interest are now viewed as part of the problem. Scandals and failures are no longer hidden. They're exposed in the harsh light of public outrage. Social media amplifies every misstep, and the cycle of revelation and anger seems endless. The public's patience wears thin as each new headline brings another betrayal to light. In finance, lawsuits against firms like Jane Street Capital reinforce the belief that the system is rigged for insiders. Stories of market manipulation, insider trading, and unchecked greed dominate the news, making it harder for ordinary people to believe in the fairness of the system. The gap between Wall Street and Main Street feels wider than ever. Political and legal systems are also under fire, with new forms of corruption emerging, such as betting on election outcomes. The spectacle of politicians profiting from the very elections they oversee deepens the sense of cynicism. Voters question whether their voices matter, or if the game is fixed from the start. Legislative responses often seem reactive, further eroding trust. Instead of bold reforms, the public sees half measures and partisan bickering. Promises of accountability ring hollow when real change is slow or absent, and the cycle of disappointment continues. Even industry coalitions for oversight are viewed with suspicion, as attempts to control the narrative. Efforts to restore confidence are met with skepticism, as many believe these groups are more interested in protecting their own interests than serving the public good. Each scandal chips away at legitimacy, fueling instability. The symbols of authority, once respected, now appear fragile, and the social contract that binds society together is under strain. The public's verdict is clear: the old order is guilty, and trust is in freefall. As confidence collapses, the question becomes, what, if anything, will rise to take its place? The crisis exposes not just institutions, but the hidden networks connecting the global elite. Leaks and investigations reveal how influence and money shield the powerful from accountability. Files implicating figures like Larry Summers and Bill Gates reignite public fury over elite impunity. Scandals involving banks like Chase, linked to figures such as Jeffrey Epstein, highlight generational corruption. These exposures force society to confront the reality of systemic failure and demand a reset of power. The web of influence is being untangled, fueling calls for fundamental change. Institutional decay has real, often tragic consequences for ordinary people. In Pataskala, Ohio, data centers have polluted local aquifers, poisoning water due to unchecked industrial activity. In India, a corrupt engineer amassed a fortune siphoned from public funds, depriving communities of essential services. In Bangkok, a high-rise collapsed during an earthquake because a construction firm cut corners, killing residents. These are not isolated incidents. They're the direct result of corruption and failed oversight. The costs are measured in poisoned wells, stolen savings, and lost lives. The crisis makes these failures impossible to ignore. Public demand for accountability grows as the consequences become undeniable. Today's crises echo those of the past. History's rhythm repeats. Pataskala's poisoned water mirrors ancient Rome, where lead pipes slowly sickened the population. Both societies were undone by the hidden costs of their own technological progress. The Romans didn't grasp the dangers of lead. Today, we underestimate the fallout of digital infrastructure. The core issue is the same unchecked advancement, undermining public health and sustainability. Financial corruption, too, is nothing new. Banks have long been at the nexus of wealth and shadowy power. Outrage today mirrors past generations' anger at institutions betraying public trust. The fourth turning exposes these patterns, reminding us that the fight for integrity is never ending. History's lessons are clear. Progress without accountability leads to decay. The fourth turning's dynamics are now global. Institutional crisis, financial turmoil, and social decay cross borders, affecting every nation. In India, massive bank scams and digital extortion reflect the same breakdown of trust seen elsewhere. Iran's leadership transition exposes the fragility of political systems worldwide. Even digital infrastructure is vulnerable. Millions of Android devices were hijacked for criminal use. From Asia to the Middle East, the evidence is clear. No nation is immune to this global reckoning. The synchronized collapse of trust is a worldwide phenomenon. The fourth turning's tide is a flood, not a local storm. The chaos of the fourth turning can feel overwhelming, but it serves a vital purpose. Like a forest fire, the crisis clears away the dead wood. Corrupt, obsolete institutions choking society's growth. Scandals and failures are the flames exposing what no longer works. This creative destruction is essential for renewal. Without it, stagnation persists. The crisis forces us to confront fundamental questions about how we organize society. Old answers have failed. New solutions must emerge from necessity. The turmoil is not pointless. It's the crucible forging the next era's values and structures. Public anger fuels the demand for accountability and change. The fire enriches the soil, making way for new institutions and ideas. Renewal follows destruction, and a new season begins. History shows that every fourth turning, though harrowing, leads to renewal. The American Revolution tore down colonial rule and birthed a new republic. The Civil War ended slavery and preserved the Union, despite immense trauma. The Great Depression and World War II saw institutions collapse, but also led to the New Deal, social security, and a new world order. Each crisis seemed like an endpoint, but became a turning point. Out of chaos came stronger, more resilient societies. These precedents remind us, collapse is not the end, but the beginning of transformation. The pain of crisis paves the way for progress. Renewal is forged in the crucible of adversity. The pattern is clear. After every winter, a new spring. As we stand at the peak of the fourth turning, it's natural to feel overwhelmed by uncertainty and fear. The world seems to be shifting beneath our feet, and the challenges we face can appear insurmountable. Yet, if we look to the lessons of history, we see that even the darkest nights are followed by the promise of dawn. Every era of turmoil has eventually given way to renewal, and every crisis has sown the seeds of transformation. The chaos of crisis is not just destruction, it is also fertile ground for growth. In these moments, communities come together, neighbors help neighbors, and new ideas take root. The very instability that shakes our foundations can also inspire us to build something stronger and more enduring. Our generation's task is to guide society through this long winter, to endure the storms and nurture the first signs of spring. We are called to imagine a future beyond the present hardship, and to lay the groundwork for a new era of hope and possibility. Exposing corruption and confronting injustice is never easy. It demands courage, persistence, and a willingness to face uncomfortable truths. But only by shining a light on what is broken can we begin the process of real accountability and meaningful reform. In this pivotal time, we have the rare opportunity to rebuild our institutions, not just to restore what was lost, but to create systems rooted in trust, transparency, and resilience. By working together, we can ensure that the foundations we lay now will support generations to come. This moment calls for more than individual effort. It demands collective action and a revival of civic virtue. When we join forces, we rediscover the power of community and the strength that comes from shared purpose. Shared threats, whether natural or man-made, can unite us in ways that everyday life cannot. In the face of adversity, we find new bonds, forge deeper connections, and discover a renewed sense of purpose that can carry us forward. The story of the fourth turning is not just one of struggle. It is ultimately a story of hope, resilience, and the choices we make together. It reminds us that even in the midst of upheaval, there is always the possibility of renewal. The outcome of this era will depend on our courage, our willingness to make difficult decisions, and our commitment to shaping a better future. We stand at a pivotal crossroads, entrusted with the power to build a world that is more just, more compassionate, and more hopeful, for ourselves and for all those who will follow in our footsteps.